at the other end. So we'll park that idea for once, but to put it to one side. That's a pretty clever way. That's a backwards way of engineering how you do a tour. Now we talk about Nokia. Well, Nokia invented Finland, didn't it? I thought so anyway. You know, I was coming here and they suddenly said it's not called Finland anymore, it's Nokia. So I am very proud to say that my piece of high technology, this is my phone. And the link between this and the Swedish Aga is that this is the phone equivalent of the Aga. It just does what it says on the tin, and it does it brilliantly. It's the best phone ever built. It's just a phone, and it just does text. Your iPhone is a great iPhone, but it's a useless telephone. And everybody knows that. So thinking about the customer, Jimi Hendrix gets to see all his customers because somebody reinvents his schedule based on the airlines. I get the phone I want because, well, I had to get this off eBay. Right? I've only got 3 of them. You can't have one. But thinking about the customer, this works because me, the customer, I just want a phone that works. And if you think this is like nonsense, the boss of O2, CEO of O2, when I pulled this out on a radio show, he went, "That's the best phone ever built." And I went, "Yeah, yeah, but you were like Samsung and Galaxy and you were 4G and 3G. And he goes, "No." He said, "I've been trying to get Nokia to give me the rights to remanufacture this phone for the last 4 years." And they won't do it. Customer. Now, if you're a software developer and you have software to handle big data, I know it's a big buzzword, big data. Big scary data. What do we do with it? So, and your customer comes along and says, "Oh, hello, I'd like an IT system that actually, I really need a phone." What do you do with your phone? I talk on it and I text. That's it. "Oh, I have the phone for you." "Thank you." And blah, blah, blah. "Oh, you don't need an IT system, but just take the phone." That guy will love you. Because you listened to him as the customer. You gave him what he wanted. And he's going to come back to you every time. Because he trusts you. Because you made him feel good. You gave him what he wanted. You listened to him. And you had an emotional relationship with it. And that actually is what you're selling. It doesn't matter what you're selling. I mean, when we go out and well, we don't sell Iron Maiden records anymore. People get them for free. They download them. But if, nevertheless, the act of consciously stealing one of our records. Okay, no, that's unfair. Some people really do pay for it. Thank you very much. But the point is, there's a degree of satisfaction involved when you do that. A Swedish guy told me the story when the Peace of Mind album came out. He was a little kid, and it was on vinyl. Way vinyl. And there was a limited supply at his record store. Remember those? Okay, record stores. They existed once. And he had to queue up, and he'd saved up his pocket money, and he got there, and the last album was there. And he put his money out, and he was 50 cents short. And the guy said, "I'll take it in. Pay me tomorrow. In fact, forget it, it's 50 cents. What the hell?" I said, "So how did that make you feel?" And he went, "Wow." He said, "That was it just..." I said, "So did you go back and buy every record from that guy?" He said, "Absolutely. Even if it was more expensive, I bought my stuff from that guy because it was me. It was believed in me. It was a real relationship." So relationships really, really do work. And just in case you think it's touchy-feely nonsense, I've got a bit of evidence of it later on. So back to Jimi Hendrix. Oh yeah, the Argo, fantastic piece of kit. A piece of technology that is so successful, it has never changed. It doesn't need to. It's brilliant. It was, by the way, designed by a blind man. Really, a blind man. A man, he went blind because he was involved in a gas explosion. He was, ironically, inventing lighthouses. And the lamp blew up, blinded him. So he had vision, but he just couldn't see. And his vision was to create this stove. And if you've ever been up to an Argo, as when I found out that I was blind, I went up to an Argo and I went, I'm going to close my eyes. This may be the most stupid thing I've ever done, but I'm going to operate my cooker with my eyes shut. It's fantastic. It works. It's a tactile piece. As a design, it's amazing. This guy envisioned it. He imagined it. And somebody built it. A technician built it. Somebody created it. He couldn't do it. He was blind. Einstein, imagination is greater than knowledge. If we build it, they will come. No, you have to imagine it first. Then somebody might build it and they will come. So you need a vision. You need a process. You need a vision and you need to listen to your consumers. Put yourself in their shoes. So when we at Iron Maiden were talking about how to go around the world, and I happened to be an airline pilot, I'd come up with a crazy idea, about 5 years before, when I was actually in a solo band. And I enjoyed flying. So I thought, I know, wouldn't it be fun to just put the gear in the back of a really old little rusty aeroplane and fly it around America? And we did. We had a lot of fun. And lots of stories. I can't go into them now, it'll take too long. At the end of it, though, I thought, God, that was really, really good fun. Fast forward to Iron Maiden, when I was also working as an airline captain. And I said, why can't we do this with an airliner and go round the world and join up all the places, like Jimi Hendrix, that we can't go to because the accountant says it's too expensive. It's too expensive to go to Australia because it takes 3 weeks and you have to pay the road crew and they're sitting on their backsides doing nothing and the air freight costs a lot of money and so, yeah, Australia, forget it. And the same for everywhere, the same for India, the same for Malaysia, the same for New Zealand, the same even sometimes for Japan and all kinds of other places that we ended up going to. But what if with our time machine we put the equipment and the road crew and the band all on the same vehicle, like a tour bus, but this is a tour bus that flies a European itinerary, gig, travel day, gig, travel day. It's just that instead of Frankfurt, travel day, Munich, travel day, Bologna, it's London, travel day, India, travel day, Australia, travel day, somewhere else. And the booking agent said, you can't do that. I said, yes you can. And we did. Lots of people said, you can't do that. But you imagined it, and then we got the technicians to enable it. The technicians enabling it is a pain in the arse. I said, why don't we just take the seats out, we'll put a big net, put the gear in, strap it all down, and go. No. There's rules, there's regulations, there's technical drawings, there's stuff. I'm like, okay, hire somebody to fix the stuff. There's always somebody you can hire to fix the stuff, whatever the stuff is that you are wanting to fix. Suddenly I'm a manager. Isn't that what management is? Hiring people to fix the stuff, to make the ideas happen. That's what a manager is. I'm thinking, didn't really want to be a manager. I've ended up as one. Anyway, we're going to have some questions in a few minutes. So if you think of some, but just in case you think that all this stuff is a bit touchy-feely and not quite real, then I'm going to tell you about $500 million which happened. Simply because I looked across the room and somebody was smiling. Right? So this is $500 million of UK exports to America that happened because, or partially happened, because I noticed somebody smiling across the room. So, as an entrepreneurial, businessy type story, here's a whole bunch of unrelated things that suddenly conspire to make something wonderful happen. Right. I wrote a script for a movie about a Satanist, Aleister Crowley, the wickedest man in the world. We spent 10 years trying to make a movie. We sold the movie 3 times. And each time, they didn't make it. We got it back. And they paid some money for it, so we went, yeah, thank you very much. We'd like to make the movie now, please. Oh, yeah, sorry, we're not making movies anymore. We're making video games. You know. Anyway. 10 years later, the director said to me, look, let's make this movie ourselves. I went, how are we going to do that? And, well, let's raise some money. We can't raise, the 5 million or 10 million that we were going to try and get with the Hollywood way of doing it. We've got to make the movie for less than £1 million. Maybe £500,000. And he said, the problem is that the script is period. It's old period, like 1920s, 1930s. And he said, we can't afford period. Too expensive. Costs a lot of money to shoot, and props, and everything. I said, well, how are we going to do that? Because the guy died in 1947. How are we not going to do period? Unless we bring him back. Oh, if we bring him back, we can sort of we bring him back like Jesus. So for 3 days, that will we can shorten the shooting period. That cuts the budget. And it's in the present day, easy. And, well, maybe he comes back and thinks he's somebody else. So, I see that's kind of a cool story. Somebody comes back and says, hey, I am Aleister Crowley, reincarnated. Are you? Or are you just crazy? This is not a bad story. So that story, for starters, was defined by the budget. So we came up with a better story because of a budget. So we added value and we cut our costs. Woohoo! Right? Next thing, we have to actually get the money. So, we go to a meeting, and at this meeting is a banker. And he has a lot of high net worth individuals. Absolute arseholes. Philistines. All they cared about was, do I get a tax break? Can I make some money? And I don't care about the movie. And his reply was, yes, you do get a tax break. Yes, you do get some money, and I don't care about the movie either. I'm the banker. So I was there as the talent, going, oh, well, it's a great movie, and you don't care, so the meeting is breaking up, and then in the corner was a guy smiling and chatting away, drinking a cup of coffee, and I thought, you're the happiest guy in the room. Why are you so happy? I said, oh, I am. Are you going to put some money in the film? And he went, oh, no. I went, why not? He said, well, he goes, I'm here because I have a project and I need to raise some money. So I heard you had a scheme to raise money, so I'm here to steal your scheme. And I went, you are the most interesting person in the room. What's your scheme? So notice here that I haven't gone, how dare you try and steal my scheme, go away. person. Let's dig. What's interesting about it? Human contact. I mean, I didn't think that. It's just who I am, it's what I'm like. I'm curious. It gets me into trouble. His scheme was he was rebuilding the whole concept, clean sheet design of the whole lighter-than-air industry. And he designed the most amazing vehicle, which, amongst other things, will carry 50 tons of cargo across the Atlantic at 20% of the fuel burn of an aircraft, land and take off vertically. It's a roll-on, roll-off ferry that flies. Anyway, we went up to the Pentagon, who wanted a surveillance vehicle. Problem was that the other bidder was the Lockheed Martin Corporation, only the most powerful defence contractor in the world. And we had our business in a shed, in a field, in the middle of England, with lots of men in pipes and sliders. We won on technical merit. And $500 million later, this vehicle flew on August the 7th of the video. That vehicle is 100% British. That's why it said United States of America. They just want you to know that. So this is his first flight on my birthday. It's 100 meters long. That guy shouting in the background is really happy. He's just bought some IBM software. This vehicle, there's two guys flying out, by the way. Fly by wire, actually fly by light. In this case, optically signalled, 4 vector crossed engines, power flight controls. You can see them moving now as it gets to the forward lift. That vehicle goes 20,000 feet over Afghanistan unmanned, with 3 tons of surveillance electronic intelligence payload, and it stays there for 21 days, which is only 20 tons better than any other UAV currently existing. It also, if you look at the back of it, looks rather like Madonna's stage show. You're lucky you didn't see the front of it. So, that's what human interaction can do. That's what thinking about your customer can do when you want to think out of the box. But just remember that in all of this, in all flying vehicles, flying pigs, Iron Maiden, going around, touring the world, what are we doing this for? We're doing this to be nice to people. We're doing this to make people's lives better. And we're all in this big old human race together. Now, when I was started talking to IBM, somebody asked me to come up and sing a song. I'm not going to do that. But it got me thinking about what sort of a song you could sing, or what sort of lyric might be relevant to a gathering like this, in which dog eat dog, very competitive, software cutting their throats left, right and centre. Actually, there's a song by a band called Sparks. This town ain't big enough for the both of us. And they had this line afterwards that said, and it's you. Actually, I'm going to chop that line out. And I'm going to suggest that what we ought to be saying as human beings, if we're going to build a better world and build better businesses, is this town ain't big enough for the both of us, so let's get together and make the whole place bigger. Together. Because together as human beings is how we do business, and together is how everybody gets on with each other. And together we'll fix the world. With little separate classes, we're going to make it. So with that, I'll just change the demonstration to black and white.
some innovations for you.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Actually, right down here. It's the world's first sort of throwable mic.
So I understand. Yes.
Think,
We reckon you could have
Is it a catch box?
Did it called a catch box?
Yes.
And the idea is to throw it around.
Yes.
The world's first throwable microphone.
Yes.
And, you know, it was an idea, and only 3 months later, it became what it is. So it's a good example of a very quick process. And Catchbox is the name of the startup company that produces that as well.
I'm immediately struck with this, that this has great applications on the rugby pitch.
Which way?
Because you could mic up the rugby ball with this, and you could actually have it in the middle of the scrum, and you could have the sound effects of the sound of Very good.
Hey, let's take our first question, okay?
Yes.
And of course, if you can reach, 50 meters up, then we can throw it there as well. Otherwise, we have mics. We have traditional mics as well. So.
Oh, you do? Yeah, sorry, did I break it?
Hey, questions! Very good question. Okay, first question is over there. Catch this. Present yourself.
Sure. My name is Antti Alma. I'm from Dickinson. Thank you for a very thought-provoking and inspirational presentation. Bruce, may I call you Bruce?
Yeah, that's
You can call me Alma. I have a very personal question to you, if I may. Even though you have a captive audience here, I assume it's not as thrilling as singing to 250,000 people at Rock in Rio.
That's easy.
And I assume that you're not doing this for fame and fortune either.
For fame, certainly not.
What?
We'll have a fortune.
Fortune, I've been a long time.
So Bruce, my question to you is, what motivates you to be here today?
Well, first of all, they asked me. So that's nice, isn't it? I got very interested in this whole idea of ideas and of creativity. I used to teach it at the airline, in fact. Here you go.
Sorry.
Sorry, Mr.
No, sorry.
Yeah. So I used to teach it at the airline, and we used to have a thing that we used to teach at airlines. Every year we did something called CRM, human factors, we used to call it, and it's a study of risk and people making mistakes and errors and slips, and how we track and catch errors to stop us crashing airplanes or having industrial accidents, and even just getting together and operating more efficiently. And I really enjoyed it. I was a teacher and I had to go and do some exams and things. But the thing that I enjoyed was watching the little light bulb go on in people's heads when you taught something or you got an idea through. And I used to work. We used to work with a very varied, very bunch of people. So, for example, I would have 15 or 20 people, and 3 or 4 of them would be gay males, because they'd be some of the cabin crew, and we have a lot of gay guys. The rest of them would usually be, young girls under 25 or something, which was okay. And then we'd have pilots in the same room, and they'd be, usually middle-aged and grumpy. And sort of a bit miserable and didn't want to be there and just thinking about their pension plans, which was disappearing. So, somehow we had to break the ice and get things together on this. And there was one particular time when I said, we have to come up with an interesting way of engaging people. So I said, well, why don't we ask them, what colour is it today? And they went, what do you mean? I went, that's a good question, isn't it? I said, so guys, girls, I said, what colour is it for you today? And immediately, all the pilots went, what's the right answer? So suddenly, everybody's engaged. The pilot's going, oh, this is weird, emotional stuff. Oh, what do we do about this? And then one guy, after deep thought, said, amber. Why? Exactly. I said, amber. Why? Why amber? Anyway, amber for caution. And you're just sort of like, okay, it's that sort of a day today, you know. But that's why I love doing this, because I love bouncing ideas around, like the catchbox. You kick ideas around like a football. That's what they're there for. They're there to be juggled, they're there to be misshaped, they're there to be pulled apart and abused. And when you've played with them, and you've come up with a bunch of crazy ideas, then that's the time to develop them. And then, somewhere down the line, it gets boring. But it gets necessary for it to be boring, because you're going to develop it into something that you can actually use. You need a process to take the idea. What a crazy idea. Let's have a microphone that we can throw around the room. Brilliant idea. I bet you it took a while before they came up with the actual definitive design. Probably quite a boring process. But you need that process, so that's why. Thank you. Bruce.
Hey, you can call me Bruce as well.
Are you Bruce?
Which one?
Two Bruces.
Okay, next question. There you go.
Oh, that's an easy one.
Hello, it was two shows.
I'm Eric from SLK. Nice to see you here. And I'd just like to ask you something about you said that you do things that you want to do, the people do things together.
Yeah.
How do you deal with people who don't want to do things, or who don't want to implement a change, or who don't want to move forward, or who are just, the ground? Other than asking about colors.
Right, okay.
Cash.
Well, it's funny enough. I asked the same question with the an aircraft manufacturing company, Embraer, in Brazil. And I was very lucky. They took me on a tour of their facility where they manufacture aeroplanes. Very interesting, very good aeroplanes, actually. So I'm walking around.
Yes. And then we're going to move sort of further back then, but let's take this from here. Hey.
Can I help you?
Well, let me phrase it.
Like help you, hug you, or have you? I think it's
I'm already spoken for. You know?
Okay, questions?
Hello, Bruce.
Yeah.
My name is Leo, and my question is, are you gonna make tour with Iron Maiden next summer?
You've already said that.
I hope you say, of course.
Oh, in Helsinki. Well, we might not. You just never know. If I told you, I'd have to kill you. I'm not. I can't tell you about anything that hasn't been announced yet.
And you're not going to announce it now, are you?
No, I don't know. I don't know the date.
Okay, more questions? Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so hello, Mark Takawi from Tusi Online. You seem to have a lot of innovations and ideas. You seem to pour all of them out. So, are you actively always trying to find new things, or do they just pop up from somewhere?
Well, I think I just hang around places where interesting people hang around.
Thank you for coming here.
I mean, I'll give you an example. Somebody asked me to go and talk to a conference in the UK on entrepreneurs. So I stood up and gave a little 20-minute talk on what I'm doing with this aviation business in Cardiff, where we're running a maintenance business doing maintenance on heavy jets, on narrow bodies, 737s, Airbuses, and a few other things as well. So I gave a talk on this. At the end of the talk, 3 people came up to me, and of those 3 people, 2 of them are now involved in joint ventures with the business, because they went, "Wow, you think the same way that I do. Maybe there's something we can bring that you can bring, and put something together, and we make it greater than the 2 separate parts." So, if you put yourself in the right place as an innovator, as an entrepreneur, it's no good being Jimi Hendrix sitting in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Nobody will know you're there. So if you want to be the world's greatest guitarist, Jimi Hendrix II, you better move somewhere where people can hear you. So you better move to London or New York or Helsinki, probably. Then somebody will hear you. So you need to be in the right place, and you need to pay attention to what's going on in the world in terms of a few trends and things like that. But mainly, again, it's down to imagination and vision and seeing something that's actually going to work. Seeing then something that, wow, that could work, that is possible to be made or constructed or done, and there's a customer. So it's seeing all of that and seeing the end users, seeing the customers, seeing the market. That is what joins the circle, where something just stops being an invention. The tragedy of the UK is that we invent a lot of things. We have amazing universities, and I think because our educational system has in the past been very eccentric, which I think is a good thing, I think we've created over the years a lot of people who like knowledge and technology and design purely for its own sake. Nothing wrong with that, it's brilliant. You know, but they're design engineering academics. And what they do is come up with fantastic, really clever stuff. And then the Americans sell it all back to us. Because where we don't join the circle is in the customer bit, very often at the top. That's a fundamental weakness. I think it's probably a bit of a weakness in Europe as a whole. The Americans start off with the consumer. As you'll know if you've ever been to an American restaurant. You know, you can't shut them up. It's like, is everything all right? Can I lick your boots? You know, have a nice day. You don't really mean that, have a nice day. Have a nice day. You're welcome too. But the point is, it's totally orientated around the customer. And that's just inbuilt, that's in their DNA in America. And it's not so much in our DNA in Europe. It just isn't. And it needs to be a bit more. Even if it's only just for the bits you do with business. You don't have to be horribly nice to people all the time. You know? But in business, you have to think through that and be nice to your customers. Because they will keep you alive. You know?
Renish, the shut up Renish. Okay, more questions? Yep, there. There.
Hello, Bruce.
Hello, it's Mike.
My name is Johan. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan, as you can see from the shirt.
That's right.
So, one question that we earlier today was to talk about leading and managing yourself.
Yeah.
So does someone speak to you now? How do you lead or manage yourself then?
I know that your old Nokia doesn't have a calendar at the moment.
No, I haven't tried it. It's made of paper. It's an advanced piece of technology. It has unlimited battery life. It will still be readable in 10,000 years' time. And the software is readily available and it's free. So actually it works for me. And in the act of writing it down, I discovered that, funnily enough, I remember it. So I usually do that. I don't actually bother with a PA or any of that sort of stuff. Because for the way I do things, it actually gets in the way. Because if you have a PA, the first thing they do is make sure that nobody can call you. If nobody can call you, you can't get a decision. Now you have to make all your decisions based on the questions that the PA asks you. She doesn't have all the information at her disposal because she's not you. So it's much easier for somebody to go, how do I get in touch with you? You say, okay. Can you do this? Yes. Oh, shit, that was so I don't. There comes a point when you have to have certain barriers in place. It's not quite so easy. I mean, you know, if there's umpteen million Iron Maiden fans, they don't all have my phone number. So, but yeah, by and large, I handle my own stuff. But I sometimes delegate out to little units. So if I have an aviation, you know, part of my life, and there's a secretary there, then I can give her my itinerary and say, okay, I'm going to be down on this day, so feed all the meetings in and do that. But she doesn't run my life. I run a series of satellites, if you like, which means when I go home, I'm on holiday, you know, for 5 minutes.
You could hire a butler.
Oh, butler, yeah. Well, as you can see, I'm fashion is my it's the same. I've had the same suit. My wife keeps saying you need to buy another suit. I'm like, I've only got one.
Well, that's ecology.
Ecology.
That's sustainability.
Yes.
Okay, hey, further back, there is another microphone, or 2 or 3 of them as well. A gentleman in the middle, right down there. Certo la microfono. Io so se siete preparati.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Dickinson. Hello. Maybe I better stand up. I go back to that you mentioned about the schooling or education system, because my son is working as a teacher in London in the subject design and technology.
Yeah.
And he's afraid that Mr. Cameron is pulling back the resources concerning the subject. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not. First of all, I'm not a politician, and I don't want to start getting involved in arguments about who's pulling back resources and not pulling back resources. But I don't think that education is all necessarily about having lots of complex resources. I think it's about being able to play with ideas. I agree with you. Design and technology. You know, people need to play with machinery. They need to play. I mean, I'm a great believer that if you want to know how to fix a car, fix an aeroplane, stop whether or not you can do diagnostics from a laptop. Before they let you near a BMW with a laptop, you should be able to take apart a tractor and put it back together and make it work. That way you will know the reality of what is going on inside a vehicle, an engine, and something else like that. So you'll be able to relate it to what's going on when the laptop diagnostics come back. I mean, I'll tell you a very funny story about that. My buddy was a pilot and he's flying an Airbus. So the Airbus engine on the ground stopped. It wasn't supposed to.
On the ground?
On the ground, yeah, on the ground. Yeah. So the engine came, it failed and stopped, failed. Engine broke. So all the guys came down and they plugged in the computers and diagnostics and downloaded loads and loads of data. And they looked at the data. So then they phoned up Airbus and said, we have all these error messages. What does it mean? They said, you need to download some more data. Download more data. And they said, there's a real problem. We don't know about this. This doesn't make any sense at all. You know, I know. So they phoned Rolls-Royce, who made the engines. And they phoned the thing, and he goes, yeah. He goes, we've downloaded all this data, and we've discovered this, and it doesn't make any sense. It's the fuel pump. And the guy goes, what? It doesn't say it's the fuel pump. It's the fuel pump. Trust me, it's the fuel pump. Change the fuel pump, the engine will be fine. But how do you know? Because the data doesn't just shut up and change the fuel pump. They changed the fuel pump, bing, the engine started the first time, nothing wrong with it. Intuition, experience. That engineer had been inside, he built that damn engine, he knew how it worked, and he knew all the little glitches. So, just investment in high tech alone doesn't necessarily guarantee that you know what you're doing. In fact, it may guarantee the opposite. You may not know the fundamentals of what's going on. And sadly, in high-tech industries like aviation, we're now discovering that pilots are flying a video game and sometimes not realising that they're actually in command of an aeroplane, which does obey the basic laws of physics when things go wrong. So, yeah, to go back to your question, yeah, there are going to be some, I'm sure that, you know, education and things is going to be rescheduled. But I still think that the most important thing as a resource in education is the relationship and the inspiration of the teacher and the pupil. Because I can recall when I was a kid, my physics teacher was awful. He was terrible. And I think probably my maths teacher wasn't far behind because I was rubbish at both subjects. I had to relearn them all in order to become an airline. I had to teach myself. And wow, physics actually became kind of interesting. Whoa, that's cool. Why didn't they tell me that at school? Well, they did, but they didn't tell me in a way that was interesting. And my inspirational teacher was an English teacher who inspired me in drama and Shakespeare and things. And then I did a history degree at university, so I was a modern history. And I had a couple of inspirational teachers there. But it was the teacher that made far more difference to me than the subjects and the books and all the teaching aids put together. Humanity, one-on-one. So I would say, you know, your son, is it, as a teacher?
Yes.
Your son is a teacher? Yeah, well, he sounds like a very concerned teacher and is really bothered about his pupils. I think that's the best piece of technology they could possibly have.
Thank you for the answer. Well, so you're good at convincing people, so you would be a good politician too.
Small world, I must have had the same physics teacher. Yeah. One used to drag kids out by the hair and beat them with a ruler. It didn't impress me.
There you go. Hear me?
Yep.
Matti Tyynisniemi from the newspaper Helsinki Sanomat, right next door, in fact.
The newspaper?
Yeah, but it's a simple
Who let
question.
you in?
A simple question, which do you feel has the more brighter future, the airline industry or the music industry? And because it's such an easy question to answer, I'm going to ask another one. Which Iron Maiden song do you feel has most to say to business people? Be quick or be dead, perhaps.
Well, if we're talking airline industry, I'd say Flight of Icarus, actually. But the airline industry is always going to be here, in one way, shape, or form. Whether it's Ryanair or whether it's whatever incarnation it comes in next. The music industry is always going to be around. In fact, music is more popular now than at any time in human history. You cannot, in fact, this is probably the only place in Helsinki where there is no music going.
That's your fault.
Yeah, I know. Singing and dancing later. Because actually, I quite like it when there's no music. People say, what do you listen to? I say, Radio 4, talk radio. You know? Because I don't want to listen to music if I don't want to listen to music. But you're forced to now, in every coffee shop, you know, everywhere. You know, it's like I don't want to listen to the bossa nova at 9 o'clock in the morning. Speakers everywhere. Yeah. But the point is, it's ingrained in us now that we have to listen to music. And the record companies completely missed the boat in terms of digital. They were sat there, fat, dumb and happy, and it is their own fault that they've ended up going into near extinction as commercial entities for generating revenue from physically selling music. However, that doesn't mean that the music industry is dead. Far from it. It's generating more money now and more excitement through live music, through streaming, through all kinds of other areas. Does it mean that the album is dead? Not at all. But if I want to put it flippantly, and talking about innovation and looking at business from a different angle, the music, you can make yourself a record or an album now, and you might as well give it away, because everybody will steal it anyway. But that doesn't matter, because if it's a great album, the t-shirt is going to cost you $100. So all we've done is transferred a bit of value from where the album is to the reputation of the band. And the reputation of the band means that people say, yeah, I want to wear this band's reputation on my chest. Thank you, sir. Because I think the stuff they do is great. Now, whether you get it for free or whether you pay a couple of cents for it from iTunes, you know, who managed to persuade the world that they were somehow doing everybody a favour by stealing everybody's music, you know, so the fact that you get it for free doesn't alter the content of it. The content is what is important and what makes the music great. Then people will want to come and see you. Then people will want to say, yeah, I'm a real fan of these guys, look at this, you know? So that's the way the music business will always survive. didn't know how to part that expensive.
But when you don't want to
I don't want to know.
No.
Okay, our last question, yes.
The last one.
Yeah, last one.
Hi, Bruce. Petri Verona from Global Intelligence Alliance, and I guess this is a really good question to be the last question. I'm a huge fan, so given the chance, I have to ask you.
Yeah.
Have you ever been alone at night, thought you heard footsteps behind, turned around and no one's there?
No.
Perfect final question. It was clever. He used his brain. That's good. Give me to answer. Give me to go on still.
No.